What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the review space. In this video, it's going to be a little bit different. I want to answer this question from Reddit. What does it feel like to get old? This is basically an answer posted to older people of Reddit. And every now and then I get into a mood. I just want to answer some questions because I kind of ask these questions myself. You know, from my own point of view, these are questions that I end up asking myself too. You know, it feels weird to get old. It's a learning experience, but I definitely feel like I'm old enough. I'm at that age where it's like I'm 31 now. So now that I'm in my early 30s, I feel like I can answer at least some questions like this, where it's like it requires some kind of experience and something that I can talk about with actual experience and an actual perspective and a point of view from somebody that's been around for over 3 decades. So this is a question posed on Reddit originally. Older people of Reddit, what does it feel like to get old? It was submitted a couple of years ago by, I don't know originally by who because it was deleted. The name says deleted. And it says, what should we expect? What should we appreciate now? What has happened to you as a result of aging that no one ever explained might happen one day? Okay. When you get older, and this is going to be my personal answer, and I want to read some of the other people's answers later on, but this is my answer to this question. What should we expect? When it comes to getting old, at least when you reach your 30s, this is what you should expect. Your body to start kind of breaking down. Just the early signs, really, physical changes, and your body looking really a little bit older than what you look like, obviously in your 20s, and certainly when you were a teenager. You just look older. You start to get a little bit more wrinkles. At least I started seeing wrinkles around my eyes in my mid-20s. Like I was 25, and I looked in the mirror, and I smiled. And it wasn't the same smile that I used to have back when I was a teenager, back when I was like 13 or 14 or 15. Around my eye area, the side of my eyes, you could see a little bit of wrinkles coming through. And I was like 25, 26. So in my mid-20s, it started to show already. So that's something to expect, is to physically look a little bit older, a little bit more mature in the face. You get slightly more wrinkles. And as far as your body, you start to break down a little bit. You don't move as quickly as you used to. You kind of lose just a little bit of agility. You lose a little bit of stamina, especially when it comes to doing like physical stuff. Like I remember back when I was a teenager in the early 2000s. So when I was around like 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And I used to breakdance a lot back in the day, back in high school. I was a b-boy. You know what I mean? I love breakdancing. Just dancing itself is just like a fun thing, especially when you put on like dope music and really cool music that just gets you energized. And you just want to like break out and start b-boying on the dance floor or whatever. You know, doing the two-step and doing the the footwork and the six-step and, head spins and, trying to do some flares and windmills, even though I could never really do those power moves. But you just kind of start moving your body. And back in those days, it was like I could fall on the floor. I could, like, break dance. I could jump in the air and, like, land on my hands. And, like, I felt invincible. You know what I mean? I would take all these bumps and flip around like a maniac, do like suicides and stuff like that. Even something like skateboarding. I was never like a good skateboarder. I was never good at skateboarding or anything like that. But that was something that something that I felt invincible about. Like that was something where I felt like I was physically able to do it just because I was a teenager. I felt indestructible. I felt like I could attempt all these different like skateboarding moves. Trying to do an ollie or a kickflip, and just riding around on a skateboard. And even something like, even more with breakdancing, because breakdancing is more your own physical body and actually doing physical stuff. With skateboarding, it's more like you're pedaling and you're riding a vehicle. Technically, you're still riding a board, so it's a little bit more assisted. With breakdancing and b-boying, it's definitely a lot more physical in that you're doing everything 100% with your own body. You're not using a board. You're not using any help, any assisted vehicle. And even something like sports, when you're doing sports, when you're playing sports, something like basketball. I love playing basketball. It's my favorite sport out of any of them. And doing the moves and jumping in the air and doing the putting the ball underneath your legs, kind of like when Vince Carter did the his dunk, the under the leg dunk. I mean, I could never dunk. I don't have the height to do it. I could never jump that high, but I was able to jump pretty good. I had a pretty decent vertical for my height, and put the ball under my legs, and then kind of do like a layup. So it was kind of a cool move. And every time I did it on the basketball court, people would be like, "Whoa," "Whoa," "Whoa, look at this guy showing off." You know what I mean? But those kind of moves, it's like they kind of go away after a while. Like physically, when you reach even when I started reaching my early 20s, early mid 20s to certainly late 20s, and now my early 30s, I just feel like doing those moves, doing the breakdancing and all that, I'm a little bit slower. I don't perform the moves as quick and as crisp as I used to. It's just it's a little bit of rustiness. I don't breakdance as often as I would like. I think the last time that I really tried b-boying again was when I was maybe around 24 years old. So this was 2011. So I was still in that kind of mid-20s period, but I was many years removed from breakdancing. Last time I really seriously did it was around maybe 2005 or 2004. So I was 17 or 18, and then I took many years off, tried it again when I was around 24. So it's now we're about 7 or 8 years later since the last time that I did a b-boy thing, and it was my body was not as fast. It's not as quick. I just didn't have that same agility. I was breathing a lot heavier. I felt like I was more. I gassed out. You just gas out a lot quicker, and you lose a lot more oxygen because it's for some reason my cardio was not as strong. Even though I maintained some level of workout routine, I kept myself in physical shape. I was doing calisthenics and push-ups and sit-ups and that kind of stuff since for a couple of years. You know what I mean? So I kept myself in shape even in my early 20s, 20, 21 years old, 22 years old, something like that. So by the time I was 24 trying to do the breakdancing thing again, I was still I still got tired really quickly. I still got winded really quickly. I gassed out really fast. So it's my body just slowed down. I just wasn't as I just didn't have as much stamina and agility. The moves that I did weren't as fast as I used to do them back in the day. Back when I was a teenager, it wasn't as quick and crisp and fast, and it just didn't have the same sharpness. So there was definitely some steps lost along the way, or not steps, but some level of quickness lost as I reached my mid-20s all the way up to now in my early 30s. I'm sure if I tried b-boying now in my early 30s as a 31-year-old, it's I wouldn't even be as fast. I would probably gas out really, really quickly. I just don't feel as physically just able to do it. And you just kind of slow down as you get older. I'm not entirely sure what it is. It's just, I think it's just your body. Your body just becomes weaker overall. I think I heard somewhere that your body reaches its physical prime or whatever, or physical strength, in your mid-20s, and it kind of falls off in the next 10 years, slowly but surely. You know what I mean? You just become a little bit weaker and a little bit weaker as the years go on, even if you keep working out, and even if you maintain a relatively physical routine. And also, you could also expect health issues. That's one thing that I also experience is you just suffer health issues. You become more susceptible to different things. For example, just in the past year alone, since early 2017, I started to get really phlegmy in the back of my throat. Like I would drink like sugary stuff, sugary drinks, like I don't know, like orange juice or lemonade, like iced tea lemonade, that kind of thing, fruit drinks, and country time lemonade, those kind of drinks, cold drinks, cold fruit juices, and my body would just get phlegmy. Like the back of my throat would just build up a lot of phlegm after a while. Like I would just get sick. So as you get older, that's one thing to expect, is that you get sick a little bit more often, just out of the blue, just out of nowhere, out of the freaking blue. Like it just came out of nowhere. It's like this never used to happen to me 10 years ago, or even when I was a teenager, and certainly not when I was young in the 90s, when I was in elementary school. So when I was in high school and all that, I barely got sick. Barely got sick. Once in a while I'd probably get like a cold or something like that. Once in a blue moon I'd get a cold, or I would get my nose would get really, really runny, you know what I mean? And that was very rare for that to happen when I was a teenager. But now it's like I feel like I get sick like pretty much like every other month. I'd have some kind of like phlegm issue, or my nose would get like super runny. I have some kind of I also developed some kind of weird like allergic reaction and stuff to like polysporin. I put on polysporin on my skin, and it would get like really weird and really like red. It would get inflamed and all like really red looking, and kind of break out. It's just a bizarre, like really itchy, crappy allergic reaction, and it's really bad. You know what I mean? So I had to deal with that, and this happening just in the past year and a half, since like 2017, around the time that I was turning 30 years old. And so these kind of health issues, they just happen as you get older. You just get more susceptible to it, and it just comes out of nowhere. Like I never had that kind of allergic reaction before, back in the day, back when I was a teen, even when I was in my early 20s. So these health issues start appearing out of nowhere, and it's kind of scary, because it's like, I don't know, like in the next 10 years, 10, 15, 20 years, if I'm still around, that my body will still get worse. Like the health just keeps breaking down even more when I get into my 40s or my 50s and 60s and so on and so forth. My body would just get even more susceptible to even more like weird health problems and skin issues, and God knows whatever like even worse stuff is on the way, which that's really kind of scary, because I just don't know like how to prepare for it, aside from like eating healthy food and maintaining a relatively decent diet. So that's pretty bad, so like that's what's to expect, is that your body gets slower and you become more sick. You start to get more sick as you get older, and that's kind of sad. It really does stink. So I guess on the other hand, I mean, in terms of just getting older, in terms of on a more positive note, you become a little bit more intelligent. You gain a bit more information, obviously, as you get older, and hopefully it happens to more people, just about everybody else. Hopefully it happens to, just about everybody else, where you just acquire more information, you accrue more knowledge, and you just become more wise. You become a wiser person, you become more intelligent, and your judgment skills and your decision making become a little bit more intelligent, especially when it comes to social things, like dealing with women, for example, dealing with the opposite sex. I've become a lot more intelligent regarding women, especially in the past like 5 or 6 years. I mean, it's just throughout my life anyway, but it's like who I am now regarding like relationships and stuff like that. Like if I could give myself relationship advice, especially around like when it comes to women and relationships and stuff, and getting a girlfriend and things like that, how to deal with women or interact with them, the kind of advice that I would give to when I was like a teenager is very valuable information, in my opinion. Like I'm such a different person when it comes to that. I have quite a bit more knowledge regarding social information, things, dealing with other people, dealing with friends, dealing with enemies, dealing with other human beings, and just being a person that has more knowledge. I would like to give that, pass that advice to when I was a teenager, if I could. Unfortunately, I mean, obviously it's not possible, but if I could give myself advice, that would be there would be a lot of things to talk about, especially regarding women. That's the thing, is I wish I was as intelligent. I wish I knew the information that I know now back in the day, back when I was in high school and even in elementary school, and just dealing with life that way. That would have been very valuable. And unfortunately, it's kind of those weird things. It's like when you get older, you become more intelligent, but it's like time has gone by. So many years have gone by where it's like that information is not even something that I could really like apply when I was coming up. Like, I wish I could have applied that information back in the day, instead of now. Or like, I wish I was. It's just an intelligence thing. It's like I wish I was as smart back then as I am now. Alright, when it comes to appreciating stuff, what should we appreciate now? Well, I'm 31. I never thought I'd live to be 31, I'll be honest with you. I never thought I'd live this long. So that's one thing. It's like, it's unexpected for me to be alive for over 3 decades. That's very, very surprising to me, because, I mean, when I was a kid, I was pretty depressed. So I thought that I would just die when I was in my early 20s or something like that. You know what I mean? Whether it's some kind of like weird suicide thing, or I would just off myself or something like that. Just something where, or maybe even get into an accident or something. Just something would happen where I would just, die in my early 20s. So that's, every day is kind of like a blessing. Like, living up to 31 is kind of a shocker still. I turned 31 last April 2018. And it's like, whoa, holy smokes, like, holy crap, I'm 31, like, unbelievable, you know what I mean? It was crazy, it feels really weird to say that, like, wow, I'm 31, like, I used to be 13, 14, 15, whatever, you know what I mean? I used to be a teenager, then in my early 20s, and now I'm 31, it's just really wild. So it's something that I do appreciate, is being this old, reaching this age where it's like, wow, I can't believe I've been around this long, and really like experience life this long, and have been around for as long as I have, since the 90s. I was born in 1987, grew up in the 1990s decade, experienced that era. The early 2000s came and went, and that was my high school years, and then moving on from a teenager into an adult, into my 20s by the late 2000s, and now I'm in my early 30s in the late 2010s. So it's been a unique multiple decade story, you know what I mean? So it's like, wow, I can't believe we've been around this long, and I really do appreciate that. I appreciate just the simple things like eating tasty food, or eating good food, or just not even good food, but like unhealthy food, but really like delicious, like really tasty food. We got this thing called Pizza Pops here in Canada, which is really tasty. But I mean, I remember eating Pizza Pops as a kid back in the 90s. But even to this day, I still enjoy it. I still go to the store and buy it every now and then, drinking that, eating that with Dr. Pepper or something like that. Some really like my favorite soft drink. These simple things in life. It might be just a small thing to drink your favorite soda, like a Jones soda, or Dr. Pepper, or 7-Up, or Sprite, or Coca-Cola, or whatever it is, Vanilla Coke, or something like that, or Pepsi. And to wash it down, wash some, you're eating your favorite pizza, or your favorite fried chicken, or whatever, and you're guzzling that down with your favorite soft drink. It's an incredible feeling, eating your favorite cheeseburger, or hamburger, or whatever, and you're eating that, and you're drinking your favorite delicious thirst quenching soda. It's such a simple thing, but I still appreciate that. Like, I still love those moments. I cherish eating good food, or eating my favorite food, and my favorite like unhealthy food, or junk food, or whatever. When you're eating your favorite junk food, or like your favorite chips, potato chips, Pringles, whatever the heck it is, whatever you like to eat, whatever it is, kale, spaghetti, lobster. I mean, I don't care. It's all good. If it tastes good to you, then that's awesome. And you know, you're drinking awesome drinks, and you're eating tasty food, and that's like so great to me. You know what I mean? Like, it's so awesome for me to still experience that and have my taste buds just always be like reinvigorated by tasty food and tasty snacks and junk food and my favorite, like, you know, restaurant food and fast food and things like that. Like my favorite fast food, and then you're just eating that and you're just munching on it and you're savoring the flavor. It's just so awesome. You know, things like playing my favorite video games or watching my favorite movies. You know, those simple things that you enjoy in life, those simple, like, little pieces of entertainment, I still appreciate that. You know, I still, like, love experiencing a great movie from beginning to end, or playing an awesome video game from beginning to end. Like, I still mark out to that. I still feel some kind of exhilaration or some kind of enjoyment out of it. You know, I don't feel like I'm too old to be enjoying video games, or too old to be watching you know, old episodes of The Simpsons from the 1990s, or like my favorite Simpsons episodes. That's what I appreciate. I still appreciate being alive technically, and still having those pleasures in life. That's like really simple things, but that's what I cherish the most. You know, it's not like, you know, like I'm worried, like, oh crap, I'm way too old. You know what I mean? Like, I can't appreciate anything. It's not that I don't appreciate life. It's just that sometimes, yeah, it can be a little bit depressing, but I still appreciate those little things. I still appreciate the simple pleasures in life, and the little, like, stimulants in life, and whatever it is that you want to do in your life, like whatever it is that you find amusing or entertaining, or something that gets your mind in a trip. You know, whether it's, you know, smoking your favorite whatever, you know, a little bit of something, a little bit of that la-la, a little bit of that Mary Jane. You know, it's been a while since I've smoked some, you know what, a little bit of that green. But you know, those are the things that you also enjoy. You know, as long as you're not abusing anything like that, you're not abusing it, you're not, you know, damaging your body too much, and you're just doing it for recreation, a little bit of recreational Mary Jane, a little bit of that Lala, a little bit of that, yeah, you know, whatever, Chiba Chiba, smoke Chiba Chiba and all that. That's fun. That's cool. Like, it's something to enjoy. It's something to get your mind in a different place. Like, something to feel different. Something to get you high and elevated. So those are the things to enjoy. Just the simple pleasures in life, basically. Alright, and so the other question is, what has happened to you as a result of aging that no one ever explained might happen one day? I think I already kind of talked about this, is that you just get more sick, and your body starts to slow down a little bit because of aging. And yeah, getting more intelligent, a little bit more intelligent, a little bit smarter, and no one ever explained might happen one day. Let's see. No one ever explained to me that would happen as I get older. Probably my values and my morals probably might shift a little bit, just a little bit, where it's like when I was 17 or 16 or whatever, I had my mind made up. I was set in my ways. I had my way of thinking, and I was like, this is how I think, and this is how I act, and this is how I believe in whatever I believe in. Like, my moral system. Like, I'll give you an example. When I was like 17, 18, I'm like, alright, I'm never going to have kids. I don't ever want to get married. You know, it's something that I don't ever want to do. It's something that I just do not care about. Don't ever want to get married. Don't ever want to have kids. I'm still very attracted to women. You know, I find women very beautiful and attractive and stuff like that. I think that's great. But in terms of actual marriage, in terms of having kids, it's something that I never ever wanted. It's like, ugh, don't care about this. But as I get older, now that I'm in my early 30s, you know, 31 years old, I'm starting to like be like, oh man, if I meet the right one, the right girl, and it's like, we hit it off, and we just end up having kids, and we might end up getting married, like, I don't see myself getting mad at that. Like, it's something that I can accept. It's something that I can live with. It's something that's like, whereas when, you know, years ago, like 14, 13 years ago or whatever, I was like so adamant and like, no. Hell no. I don't ever want to get married. I don't ever want no kids. You know, I don't want no kids and I don't want to get married at all. Never. But as I get older, it's like, damn, like, oh, it's not such a crazy thing anymore. It's not such a no, like, adamant no. It's not such a strict and oh. It's not a negative thing. It's more like it's a possibility. It's like, oh, okay, I can see myself doing that, I guess. It's like I'm not 100% in doing it. I'm not like 100% I want to do it, but it's more like, yeah, if it happens, it happens, and it's something that I can accept. It's not such a hard line no. It's like, no, I don't ever want to do that. It's more like, now I feel like I might end up having kids one day. I might end up getting married one day, and it's something that I'd be like, I'm cool with it. So your morals might change over time. And your values might change over time. The way that your belief system might change over time. You might end up becoming, if you were a teenager, like obviously I used to be a teen, but when I was a teen, I was probably a little bit more on the liberal side. I was a little bit more of a leftist, kind of a liberal type, because of indoctrination when I was a kid in the 90s. But as I get older, I probably became a little bit more conservative, a little bit more on the right wing, a little bit more just a right winger, or just a slight Republican, I guess, a little bit more conservative on the right side, on the right wing side, just a little bit more. In my early 30s, so like your morals and your values start to change and shift a little bit because of experiences and things that you learn and information that you acquire. You become a bit more wise, you become a bit more intelligent, and you just become more. You change a little bit, like your belief system. You might become like. One huge change that happened to me when I was a teenager was, and this happened like years ago in the early 2000s when I was coming of age, when I was a teen, was I used to be religious in the 90s because I grew up in a religious household, in a Catholic household, Christian Catholic, in the 90s, and my family went to church and everything. They took me to church like every now and then, every other week or whatever, we go to church. But by like 2002 to 2003, when I was like, 15 or 16 years old, I started to become more atheist. I became an atheist. I started to, you know what, this religion thing is not for me. So that kind of switched. My belief system became more atheistic. I just stopped believing in God. Because I'm like, there's no scientific evidence for this. There's no scientific evidence for angels and God and Satan and heaven and hell and all these different things, these fictional fairy tales. So I saw no evidence of that. There was no scientific support for it or scientific evidence. Intelligent scientists are not talking about it like it's real. It's not real to them. People like a Richard Dawkins or, even like somebody like a George Carlin. I'd be listening to him. He's a stand-up comedian. Rest in peace, George Carlin. But I remember listening to him, and he'd be like, there's an invisible man in the sky, and religion isn't real. Like, there is no God. And I'm sitting there listening to him like, wow, that's really what I think. Like, I actually agree with him, you know what I mean? He was saying something that I kind of suspected even when I was a kid in the 90s. It was something that I was like, what, God really isn't real. So I became an atheist when I was a teen. And that's something that maintained throughout, to present day, to now. I'm 31 years old, and I've been an atheist ever since. It's great, you know what I mean? Like, there is no evidence for any of that God stuff, any of that religious stuff, whatever religion you believe in. There's no evidence for it, you know what I mean? So that's my belief system, that's my point of view. You might be religious, you know what I mean? You might have your own belief system and your own view of the world, but that might change over time. You might be an atheist, and then you might become a religious person as you get older. So that's something that changes, is your belief system, your moral system, the way that you see the world. For me, it was certain things that would get tweaked a little bit, and it would change a little bit. So that's something that I didn't really expect, is for my belief system to change, and for me to think a certain way that's different from when I was a teenager, or when I was in my early 20s. Like, wow, okay, I see things differently now. Whether it's politically, morally, religiously, whatever it is, Okay. So, I basically pretty much answer that question, but I want to read actually a few of the answers that other people gave. It's really, really great actually. Some people gave some great replies here on Reddit. So the first answer is from deleted. The person's name is deleted, so I guess the account has been deleted. So unfortunately, I can't give this person's credit and give their name. But it's from a couple of years ago. The answer was from 2 years ago. You start to run out of F's to give. Yeah, and you start to give less of it as you get older, basically. Yeah, I mean, that's really what it is. I feel we are born with a finite amount of F's, and F's meaning, F-U-C-K. You don't give as much anymore. You don't give them ufk anymore as you get older. When I was younger, I was extremely generous with my F's. Hell, I was practically Oprah with my F's. You get an F, you get an F. Everyone gets an F. Like, yeah, I give an F about you and this and that. Then one day, around 30 years old, someone asked me to give a F about something. I reached into my bag and noticed that I didn't have a whole lot of F's left. When I was almost worried about that until I realized that being worried about how a few F's I had left would cost me yet another F. At this point, I started to become a lot more selfish with my F's. There were some really important things I still gave an F about, but the bar below which I would not give a F rose significantly, and everything below that simply didn't get one of my F's. Now that I'm 50, it better be pretty effing important or not a single F will be given. I have about 5 F's left at this point, and I'm saving them for somebody special. Yeah, that's definitely true. That's definitely something I can agree with. You just start to give less, you start to care less about stuff. Like, you don't care about stuff anymore. Like, things become more, not meaningless, but it's like, dude, I just don't care. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I don't care, save it. There's bigger things, there's more important things to worry about instead of like small, like little petty things as you get older. When you reach your I mean, I am in my early 30s, so I can kind of I can totally understand where, somebody's coming from that's in their 30s that's like, I don't care anymore. Like what this guy said, when he reached 30 years old, he didn't have that many F's to give, which is kind of like me. Like I basically become a little bit more impatient, and it's not so much like I snap at everything, but it's more like I just don't tolerate garbage as much as I used to. I don't tolerate bullcrap as much as I used to. I'm so like, get to the point, don't waste my time. You know what I mean? That's my mentality now. It's like, don't waste my time, get to the point, don't waste my time, and stop babbling, get to the point. And be straight with me. Don't play games. Don't say this and that, and you're going to do this and that, and you don't do it. Just, you either do it or you don't, and I don't have to deal with you. You know what I mean? You become a lot more straight to the point. You become a lot more direct. And things become a lot easier to say no to. And things become, you just start to, you don't care about the little petty things. You become more impatient. You become a lot more, yeah, that's what it is. You're just like, yeah, I don't care. Dude, I don't care. Save it. Get out of my face. I don't care. Get the hell out of my face. Dude, get the F out of my face. I don't give an ish right now, alright? Like that becomes my mentality. That becomes like my attitude sometimes. I get really like, dude, I don't care. Dude, I don't care. Tell it to somebody who cares. Like, dude, get out of my face. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to deal with you. I don't have time to deal with your garbage right now. You know what I mean? So you don't care about stuff anymore. You don't care about stuff as much, I should say. You don't care about like the stupid stuff. You become less tolerant of it. You know what I mean? You become less tolerant of like garbage. Okay, so this guy's 79 years old. His name is Old Fart In. I'm 79 and I can tell you it sucks. Everything is more difficult. Getting up, walking, etc. At the doctor's office. He's at the doctor's office all the time. Worst of all, I'm just now starting to forget more and more things. I couldn't even remember my great-granddaughter's name for the life of me, and I see her once a month. That's really sad, you know what I mean? And that's something that I am very scared of. If I ever reach that age, 79 years old, that's pretty high up there. That's crazy. He says, I have to sleep about 10 or 12 hours a day, or I can't function at all. Some things are good, though. Great-grandchildren, playing cards with my remaining friends, TV, sports, and meals. So don't get discouraged. I'm pretty sure it's still better than the alternative. Hey, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what 79 is going to be like. You know, when I'm 79, I just hope that it's something enjoyable. You know, some if I'm even lucky enough to be around to reach 79 years old. You know what I mean? That would be a miracle unto itself, in my opinion. So that's many years into the future, but man, it's something to definitely be like, whoa. I certainly hope that I get that much sleep a day, and like I certainly hope that I can still function somewhat more. Yeah, I can still entertain or be entertained by stuff and still like experience the cool stuff that I appreciate now. You know, like I would still love to be able to play video games at 79 years old, or be able to, you know, read books when I'm 79, or be able to even like do a push up at 79. You know, just things like that. But I mean, hopefully that's the case. You never know. This one is from Big Girl Nerd. Big Girl Nerd. I'm 30. The things I have noticed are more minor problems and a slower recovery time. This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. A slower recovery time. You said it, Big Girl Nerd. And she continues, small aches and pains, discomfort, etc. But there are more of them than when I was, say, 16 years old, and I am slower to recovery from injury and leisure. A few months ago, I went to a trampoline park, and the next day I struggled to get out of bed. Yeah, that's kind of like me. It's kind of like me. I definitely can totally relate, totally understand where you're coming from. That's what it is. Your recovery time becomes a lot weaker. You from doing leisurely things, from being physically active, you just lose some stamina. You become older, and you gas out a lot quicker, and your recovery time is a lot more, it's more prolonged. You know, it takes more time for you to bounce back and become like, yeah, let's do it again. Let me see. There was a comment that I read that was really, really good. It was really dope. I think that might have been the best one actually that I remember reading. I don't know if there's anything else. Is there any more? Okay, so this one from Aging Lolita. Aging Lolita, a very sexy name. You know when you have had a really, really heavy night and you feel crappy in the morning and tired and slightly off all day? That's aging. It's that feeling forever. And if you have a heavy night on top of that, you feel like heck erupted in your stomach for 3 days afterwards. Hey, I can sometimes relate because I get sick every now and then, and yeah, you do feel a little bit more sick. I get nauseous every now and then too. I get like dizzy every now and then. It's kind of odd. It's kind of weird. Like even when it comes to video games, that's the weird part. I'll play video games that back in the day, back when I was like in my early 20s or even as a teenager, I would play video games and they were really fun and I wouldn't have any problem with it. I could pick up a video game like a first-person shooter and enjoy it from beginning to end and not feel sick. But now, sometimes I feel sick when I'm playing an FPS that I otherwise would have never felt sick back in the day. Like video games, sometimes like a first-person shooter or like just a video game that's kind of disorienting, a little bit disorienting. I remember playing Mirror's Edge again, like recently. I tried to play Mirror's Edge, the original one that came out in 2008. Now, I remember beating that game several years ago, like maybe around 2013. And I beat that on the Xbox 360. It was fun from beginning to end. I didn't feel sick at all. You know what I mean? From beginning to end, I beat it, enjoyed it, had fun, had a great time. It was great. Tried to pick it up and play it again on the PS3 just recently, like in early 2018. So really just a few months ago. And like I felt dizzy. I felt sick in certain areas. I felt nauseous playing it. Because it was disorienting, but it's like, I didn't feel sick before back in the day. Back when I was like, I don't know, 26 or whatever, when I played the game the first time, 26 or 27, however old I was. But now I'm 31, and it's like, oh my god. Like, I'm getting nauseous just playing this first-person shooter that back in the day I had no problem playing with. So it's like, I don't know, like, I think that's also a part of getting old. Like, maybe it's just me, maybe I just played it at a bad time or whatever, but I definitely felt sick playing certain games now, and I get a little bit queasy or nauseous just looking at the video game, looking at the screen, looking at the TV screen when the video game is playing. It's like, it's really weird. It's like, oh crap, I feel sick, I don't want to play anymore, and then I feel tired, like I want to go to sleep. So, you know, I stop playing for a while, and then the headache kind of goes away, But it's like, holy smokes, like that never happened much back in the day. That kind of like that disorienting feeling, that what do you even call it? Motion sickness, you know. Not that I didn't have motion sickness back when I was younger, back in the 90s when I was in elementary school, but that's more like when you're traveling in a car or something like that, or just very few video games would make me nauseous when I was a kid. Like GoldenEye would be one game, GoldenEye 007 on the N64, but that was a long time ago. I would say like 99.9% of video games don't make me nauseous, but now it's like, oh crap, it happens a little bit more frequently. So I guess that's it. I mean, it's been over 40 minutes. I've been rambling for a while. I just wanted to talk about this and, you know, reply to this Reddit, what does it feel like to get old? It's my own personal take on it, my own personal opinion. Thank you guys for watching, and subscribe to the channel. You know what I'm saying? I don't upload a lot of videos too much anymore because I just haven't had a lot of opportunities to. I really would like to upload more stuff, create more vids and stuff like that, but whenever the next time you know, I got some time. So subscribe to the channel, hit that bell button for latest notifications. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, peace.